Gabe Palumbo here for another RX Muscle news update. The IFBB Prague Pro has let out, and we have a champion and a new qualifier for the Mr Olympia 2022, and that man's name is Samson Dauda, and he has been trying and coming in. I can't even tell you how many top threes this guy's had already, and how many shows he's missed over the last 2 years with flying to different places because of COVID, and he couldn't get out of the country. Man, it's a good feel-good story for sure that Samson won this show, qualified for the Olympia next year. So happy for him. It was a good battle here in Prague, though. It was not an easy win for him, and the scores kind of flip-flopped a little from prejudging to night show. It seems like Samson had a pretty good handle on both prejudging and the night show. When you look at his physique, he's probably got the most, bells and whistles in terms of structure, interesting, lines, separation. We've been saying for weeks and weeks as we've seen him compete, if this guy nails his conditioning, he's going to win a pro show because he's got the most wow of these guys that have been competing post-Olympia, okay? You put him on an Olympia stage, you're going to obviously see guys outsize him. There's going to be other guys that have the same gifts that he's got. But of this post-Olympia tour we've seen pretty much, Samson just has been losing because he just hasn't been in the best conditioning he could be in. And he was better here. He still could be better. I still think that we can see a tighter version of him. However, I think this was a great compromise because I think he still needs to add a little bit more size to his physique to really fill out that frame and round off those muscles. But his conditioning was good enough here to beat a really good field of Rafa Brandao, Regan Grimes, and Nathan Deasha. We know these four guys. We've seen them battling it out. Nathan came in here, I think, as the odds-on favorite, and I just don't think Nathan brought it. When you see him turn around, Nathan usually is crisp, glutes straight. I don't know if he tried to come in too full here or if his body's tired from hitting a lot of shows. He won the Arnold UK. He won another pro show after that, and so his body could potentially be telling him enough is enough. He had to settle for fourth place. I heard he was very upset with that placing, and of course he's going to be upset. This is a guy who is a top Olympian. He didn't make it to the Olympia this year because of travel restrictions, but he's in that group, and so I think he felt that this was his show to win. When you don't bring your best, don't expect to win. There's nothing. Sometimes it's not your day. I thought Regan Grimes looked amazing, to be honest with you, and I actually could have even seen him winning. Now, from the scorecards, he did very well. I think he was second after prejudging, and then he fell to third place at the final. So he obviously softened up from prejudging to night show, and that dropped his placings, which raised Rafa Brandao's placings because Rafa was behind him after prejudging, and then Rafa came back and got great scores at night, and that pushed him up into the second position. And obviously you can see they had him in the middle. Rafa is amazing. To be honest, I hate to say this, it sounds kind of like petty in a sense, but I think his tan cost him, this potentially winning this show. He had the best, or at least some of the best conditioning on stage. Regan was really well conditioned as well. And I felt that his tan just wasn't dark enough. And because of that, he didn't look as polished. There was really no flaws in his physique. Back double bicep, he owned that pose. And that was a good Regan Grimes pose too. And I think Regan might have edged him out really because of his, he had more polish. He had better tan on. So, and Samson has just really nice proportion, but I don't think Samson dominated those back poses. Maybe some of the other poses, the front poses and side poses, but I thought Rafa really had that back double bicep. Once again, I think his tan hurt him. And once again, we talk about this all the time. We only have conditioning. We only have control over conditioning, presentation, and tan. If you screw any of those up, shame on you. And Rafa had everything else. And he had his conditioning down. His posing is great. His tan was screwed up. And sometimes you're at the mercy of the people that are spray tanning you at these shows. Sometimes your skin doesn't hold the color. I don't know what the deal was. I always yell at my guys, tell them to go back and get spray tan darker if they don't look dark enough. But it's hard when you're his coach, like Chris Aceto is, he's not there with him. So I know that won't happen again because Rafa is pretty much a perfectionist, and I know that probably was irking him that he knew his tan probably wasn't as good as it could have been. Regan Grimes, you got to take your hat off this guy. He just keeps getting better and better. He might have been a little harder in his win, what was it, last week or the week before that? But I felt like this was a good look for him as well. So good job, Regan. You know what? I applaud you because you're one of the only Americans coming out and doing these shows over there in Europe. And you know what? You're cashing in. You're making some money for yourself. You're becoming more popular from it. You're getting stage experience from it, and you qualified for the Olympia. So, you know what? You did a great job. I applaud you for not being afraid to get out there and compete and hit a bunch of shows. So, was it a great top 4? Yeah, I thought it was a really good show. And it's post Olympia. Sometimes you don't see the best competition, and this was very competitive. It was so competitive that Ruli Winkler had to settle for 5th. Imagine that. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. Stay tuned Monday night for the Heavy Muscle Radio Show, where Chris Aceto and I will be wrapping up all the action here in more detail and going into the 212 and all the other divisions. For now, though, I'm Dave Palumbo with an RX Muscle News Update.